Hello and welcome to the sixth of several online panel discussions with foster parents that we're calling The Arena. Foster Source is partnering with the Colorado Department of Human Services to bring you this series as an opportunity to connect, share real stories and struggles, and proactively seek support. I'm your host, Renee Bernhard. I'm a former foster parent in Adams County, an adoptive parent in Adams County, and I am the founder and executive director of Foster Source. Foster Source is a nonprofit serving foster and kinship parents statewide in Colorado with services like trauma-informed education, relief services like bunk beds, mattresses, car seats, and weighted items, and therapeutic services like virtual therapy for the caregiver and our equine-assisted parenting practice labs. In today's episode of The Arena, we'll be discussing a newer type of foster care that is expanding across Colorado. Treatment foster parents receive additional training and support to care for children and youth who have higher levels of emotional, behavioral, and mental health needs. The Family First Prevention Services Act, otherwise known as Family First, is creating a continuum of foster care so these young people can grow up in the least restrictive setting possible. Currently, there are about 400 children and youth receiving care in residential treatment centers and other congregate care settings. Colorado counties and child placement agencies are working to expand the availability of treatment foster care families across the state to ensure children and youth grow up in families. Today's foster parents are here to discuss how they provide similar levels of treatment in a family setting. Let's meet our panelists. We have Tabitha and Matt. They live in Eaton and they foster for Safi. We have Sydney. She lives in Denver and she fosters for Denver County. And we have Margaret and Charles. They live in Wellington and they foster for Safi. Tabitha and Matt, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you became treatment foster parents.
So I work in physical therapy. I work with kids. I'm a pediatric therapist, and I see a lot of children in my line of work that are foster kids.
And I'm a police officer. I've been a police officer for the town of Eaton for 10 years, and I also work with a lot of the youth.
Amazing. Sydney, you have a background in residential treatment centers. Tell us a little bit about you and about why you became a treatment foster parent.
Yeah, I've worked in treatment centers for about 15 years, working my way up to be a special education teacher and eventually a principal. And I started to become a traditional foster parent. And that's when going through the process, Denver Human Services basically recruited me saying, we have an idea that you would be a really good fit for therapeutic care. And it's gone, really hand in hand. I've been able to use a lot of my past experiences to create a home for these kids.
Amazing. Margaret and Charles, you two came to treatment level care kind of by accident. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you became treatment foster parents.
Yeah, so we became treatment foster parents when we started with a different agency. And unfortunately, things weren't going very smoothly. And so I hopped onto an online forum just to see what other people's experiences were and see if there was any support groups in our area, since we knew we were gearing up to do foster care anyway. And someone chimed in with Safi, and I happened to call them on a Monday, and they're like, oh, by the way, we have some classes starting on Wednesday. So if you guys want to dive in with us, you can. But we were very unfamiliar with what treatment level foster care was. But I don't know, we were just excited for what Safi had to say. And so we said, why not?
Well, we all know that in order to be a foster parent, you have to take training hours, a lot of training hours. But for treatment level care, even more hours are required. Tabitha, tell us a little bit about the training that you took.
So we did the 32 hours of treatment foster care training through Safi when we started. And it was just a lot of information about behaviors and trauma and how to de-escalate situations and how to keep ourselves calm when situations arise.
Matt, what is trauma-informed care and why is it so important for treatment foster parents?
So trauma-informed care to me, in my line of work for what I do, I'm a law enforcement officer. I've been a law enforcement officer for over 10 years. And I've gotten all this training while being a police officer as well. So stepping into the treatment care is just an addition to my training in my field of work. But I've also gotten all the training as far as de-escalation, because we use a lot of de-escalation out on the streets when we're patrolling. So taking it into childcare, it's brought a lot of I guess eye-opening moments for me as well. I've been able to also calm myself when I would think that I would be at a heightened situation. I've learned to take a step back and kind of look at the situation and look at the totality of the circumstances and everything that's going on.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we think we're there to learn what we should do with the child, but a lot of times it's about regulating ourselves to better help the
Absolutely.
child.
Absolutely.
Margaret and Charles, you said with your training, a lot of it was more focused on what the kids' needs were, and particularly their mental health. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so again, just like a lot of trauma informed, and then understanding, a lot of these kids do have a lot of suicidal thoughts sometimes and different things along that line. So it's just looking for warning signs for those things. And one of like the additional trainings is Yokira, and I would call it a non engaging approach to self-defense. So if you ever find yourself with a child that's escalated with you physically, how to disengage from that without having to bring any additional trauma or harm.
Sydney, oftentimes before a child comes into our home, we don't know much about him or her, and we may have preconceived notions about what a child may be like. You say treatment foster care is not for the light of heart. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So I have had 7 children placed with me, and every single one of them have been completely unique. Um, but you just need to be prepared for anything that can come your way. A lot of these kids are coming from residential treatment centers, and so this is a step down for them. This is, they were in a place where they were told what to do every minute of their day. They had locks on the doors, intense safety protocols put in place, and they're coming into your home, which is very open, lots of potentially dangerous objects, lots of freedom, and that can be really overwhelming to them. So you just need to really be prepared for anything. It's not for the light of heart, but it's also never boring. Even 15 years of working in residential treatment centers still didn't fully prepare me. The kids still pull things that shock me, but that's what's so great about it is the learning process. Um, and with every kid, you get better and better, and you get stronger, and you understand where your weaknesses are and how to make your house safer for them.
Absolutely. So obviously, yes, for the kiddos, it's going to be different in a family setting than it is in residential treatment. And you say they're watching you. The children are always watching the caregiver. Why is that important to know and to keep in mind?
Yeah, you have to understand that you might be their first placement where there isn't chaos going on 24/7. It's their first time to be calm and de-escalate and really get their nervous system calm and regulated. And so you might be the first adult that is in their life that they get to see living a typical life, living day to day. And they are watching you, listening to everything you say. You become their role model. So I say it's a full-time job, and even more than a full-time job, it's 24/7, because you are always on. I have to be very aware of my choices, what I say. They will call me out on anything that, if I'm practicing something, what is the saying? Like you do as I say, not as I do. If I do anything like that, they call me out on it immediately.
I love that. What I'm hearing you say is it's a full-time job, but a very fulfilling job. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes, it's wonderful.
Awesome.
It's a full-time job that you still get to go to the movies while you're on. You get to hang out, you get to learn about yourself. It's very rewarding.
Awesome. Margaret and Charles, tell us about the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, so it seems to be a phase that we've seen a few times where the kids, they come in and they're not sure who they're supposed to be, other than they're supposed to be themselves, but they have to be okay with it. And it takes a little bit of time for that and for everyone to be, comfortable to be who they are, and to just kind of let their guard down.
You said after a while, you're able to kind of recognize some of their triggers. Charles, does that then make it easier?
Sometimes, I mean, it's all about like figuring out what might trigger them, right? And then trying to I don't know, redirect them to get their focus off of that so that they don't get escalated.
And
For
sometimes the triggers
sure.
are just unavoidable. And so it's just learning to help them, get through it the best that they can.
For sure. We talked earlier about behaviors that present with any child, but specifically with children in treatment foster care. And I'd like to talk about how you can handle some of those behaviors. Sydney, you worked in residential treatment. And at the end of the day, at that job, you got to go home. That's not the case anymore now that you are a treatment foster mom. How do you find that emotional bandwidth for a 24-hour job of treatment?
Yeah. That's probably been the biggest lesson over my years is taking care of myself, prioritizing myself. I cannot serve any of my kids if I am empty and I am not taken care of. So really making sure that I am taking the moments, maybe it's just when they're at school. That's my time. When I get a reprieve because they have mentors taking them places, asking for help. Um, it's been really hard as a single parent, especially because I feel like, it does all fall on me and there's not somebody to tap out when I am completely burnt out or when a kid is really getting under my skin. So I just have to fill up my own personal bank so that when it is time for me, that I have to give energy to the kiddos. Um, I also have really learned to set boundaries, to say no, to figure out which kiddos are a good placement for me, which kiddos might not fit. Um, you are allowed to say no. You are allowed to say, I don't think that's the right fit for my household. And that's something that I've really found. Um, you go into this wanting to say yes to everybody. Um, but understanding my strengths, understanding what fits well in my household.
For any foster parent, that ongoing support is so important. Tabitha and Matt, you talked about a whole team that supports you and a family specialist in particular. Will you tell us a little bit about your support team?
So we have a family specialist that comes to meet with our little girl every week. She's in our house for an hour every week. Our team is just amazing. All the people at Safi, if I have a problem, I have a need, I have a question, I can shoot an email or a text message to anybody on my team and I get a response. There's no lag time. There's no like they put me on the back burner because they have other things going on. Like if I have something, somebody responds to me. And I I never feel like I'm not getting taken care of. And when our family specialist comes, do you guys need anything? Is there anything we can do better for you? Does your kiddo need anything? They're always making sure that we are taken care of as well as the kids.
You also said you feel like you are given as much information about the child as possible. Matt, why does that make a difference when parenting that child?
It makes a huge difference. We knew almost everything about our little girl before we got her. We had a picture of her. We had a whole biography of everything that's gone on with her and everything that's, medical, dental, everything possible. We knew everything about our little girl before we got her, which made it very easy for us to make the decision to have her come into our home.
It made it easy for us to be able to make sure she was going to fit well
Yeah.
because we have biological children in our home too. Like seeing,
Yes.
kind of what her behaviors were and things like that, made it, gave us a better informed decision on accepting her into our home.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And likely helped you avoid some bumps in the road initially as well.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Margaret and Charles, what I love about what you said for Safi is that they don't sugarcoat children's behaviors or their past, and that you really feel like you are part of their treatment team, which is so important. Tell us a little bit about what your support circle looks like.
Sure. Yeah, Safi's just always available. And like she said, they're just always a phone call or a text away, and they're just very receptive um and helping you in any way that the kids need. And it feels like there's no questions that are like unaskable like about the kids at all. So like she said, there's no questions as to what life may look like. And so you can really make an informed decision for your family. And you always have Safi. And if you don't know at the end of the day, you can call them and they can always find out more information.
How has your relationship been with your family specialist and team?
Ours have been excellent. Yeah, we've had a few changes here and there. And I think that's just always how things tend to work, but everybody has been so good. And I feel like they always go over and above what we expect. So we couldn't ask for more.
Oh, that's what we love to hear. Awesome. Sydney, you like that every child has a therapist who's highly involved and works directly with the treatment team and on the treatment plan. Why is that so important?
Yeah, it's been really incredible to have a therapist be almost leading the meetings, leading the treatment plan, really being able to give their clinical approach to the rest of the team. So we know that we're making decisions that are really best for this child. We have a therapist who with all of my kiddos, I've been able to collaborate with. I've received training from the therapist on the individual kid, which is amazing. Maybe it can go into detail about their specific behaviors, disabilities, diagnoses. And then every week we have a weekly staffing that is led by the therapist, to make sure that we are on track with this plan. So it makes it feel very supported. Again, similar to everybody else, I feel very supported by that. I'm able to connect with the therapists during, after a crisis, to debrief, to receive help, and I feel like they are they put my interest in the mix as well. So making sure that I am happy, the child is happy and healthy and safe, and the whole home is happy, healthy, safe.
It sounds really like a team effort, which is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, if I can add to just that aspect of feeling like a valued, member of the team and how everything goes along with Safi. They bring a lot of ideas and things to the table, and then different approaches to helping different kids in their own way. But at the end of the day, they always value that if it doesn't work or it doesn't work for your family, it just doesn't work. So let's find what does to help that kid to achieve their goals, because every household and every personality just operates so different.
That sounds amazing. And I think what all foster families are looking for in support. That's incredible. Thank you all for sharing. I would like to ask each of you, and I'm going to ask each of you, if you were speaking to a foster parent who was considering moving up to treatment level foster care, what you would tell that foster parent. Matt, you claim if you can do it, anybody can do it. Is that really true?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have one daughter of my own, and we have two other children that have been in our house from her previous marriage. And so with my first child, I didn't think I could do it either. But and then having her grow up to be an amazing little girl really opened the light to allowing a treatment care child into our house, and it's been very eye-opening. But yes, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Sydney, you say it's all about giving a kiddo a chance. What would you say to a potential treatment parent?
If you're interested in leveling up, just knowing that, these kids are so lovable and there's so many strengths. They're resilient. Um, and it's been so wonderful. And I want to say it's been probably one of the most challenging, couple years of my life, but I don't think I have ever grown more as a human. Um, Learned more, become resilient myself. And like I said, once you do this, you feel like you can do anything.
Amazing. Amazing. Margaret and Charles, you say you will not regret it. What else would you tell a potential treatment foster parent?
Go for it. And just like she said, like you just get to know the child and you just appreciate who they are and you appreciate their story. And so, you just do it. You do every day for them and helping them get to their goals.
That is amazing. I have loved having all of you on the panel today. Thank you so much for being with us. If you are currently an experienced foster parent or professional with experience in trauma-informed care, treatment foster care might be for you. Currently, the Denver County Department of Human Services and SAFI, Specialized Alternatives for Children and Youth, train and certify parents for treatment foster care. If you are interested in learning more about foster care in Colorado, visit co4kids.org for more information and to request follow-up from county departments or child placement agencies near you. You can also find more information about training and support on our support and training page. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.